Hello everyone, it's Eve here with you again. And if you'd like to know about the best practices of using video in distribution centers, this video is for you. Hi Adrian, and please introduce yourself.
Hi Eve, nice to see you again. My name is Adrian Beck. I'm an emeritus professor at the University of Leicester and also the academic advisor to the ECR Retail Loss Group.
So on the 12th of May, we had another working group session where we discussed some of the applications of video and beyond, some facial recognition, thermal cameras in distribution centers and how it changed the operations. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, sure. We had a great presentation from David Oliver from Morrisons in the UK, looking at how they had really begun to develop what I consider to be a very integrated and thought through system for the use of a range of video technologies across their distribution centre. And so he made a very compelling case, I think, in terms of really working out what you want video to do in that environment, but actually making the case for investment. And they'd made the big case to say, look, we need to replace all of our existing video and put in the backbone of IP. So everything was replaced with digital systems, which then I think really enabled them to begin to think through how they could get the most from that investment. And David, I think, made a great case in showing how you can begin to use video in that environment for lots and lots of different reasons.
And the first use case was around facial recognition. It was the flawless entrance in the building. I think interesting was how they talked about GDPR regulation. So they made it as an opt-in function rather than they made it as a rule. And I think it's very fair use of technology. And this is where facial recognition really fits in, right? In comparison to the public environment applications of facial recognition, where I normally don't recommend my clients to use it just to make sure that not overstep the privacy issues as well. But the second was about thermal cameras. Tell us a little bit more about the thermal camera application.
Yeah, so I mean, they made the case for facial recognition around, in terms of speeding up the process of getting people in and out. So it's about access control, and the difference I think in that environment in terms of GDPR is, you can actually begin to negotiate with people who will be the intended users of that. There is a contract in terms of those who are employed, and so I think Morrisons were very clear to make it clear to their staff what the purpose was. And as you say, it was an opt-in. If you didn't want to use facial recognition, you could still use a card-based system for entering. I think my understanding is only one person out of the entire Morrisons distribution team decided not to use facial recognition, simply because it's so much quicker to get in and out of the building using that technology. But they're also using other technology in terms of crime prevention, and that was around using thermal scanning for staff who were selected at random for searches, and we know searching of staff is a long established way of trying to generate deterrence in that sort of environment. And so they were using technology to try and speed that up, but also make it much more reliable and increase the deterrent potential. Staff seeing this technology at work probably realized it'd be very difficult to get things out of that building if they were selected for a search. So again, another interesting additional development in the way that video technology can be used to generate deterrence.
Yeah, but in addition to that, it actually allowed to make it more friendly from the COVID perspective. It's a distance, so you can be on the distance of 3-4 meters. You cannot even see each other, and you do this checkup, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously we didn't get into the issue around return on investment. I presume it's pretty expensive technology to use and purchase. But again, it's in this moment around COVID, it was a great way in which you could actually begin to have a search process in place, but make it COVID compliant. So I think they really benefited, perhaps unexpectedly, from the investment in that particular technology.
But also, like from the personal perspective, I would think that it makes things much more comfortable for the person. I don't want to be searched by anyone. So if it's a part of the process, the least friction is there, the better, right? So it makes it more comfortable, more staff friendly, and it's a great piece of technology to maybe increase the cultural acceptance as well of this unfortunately needed function.
Yes, he's long established around trying to make sure that people don't steal from these sorts of environments. And there's been lots of different ways people try. There's lots of sort of perimeter security, target hardening strategies. But certainly searching of staff has a long tradition of being used in those sorts of environments, and it can be, as you say, very intrusive. But I think also critically very time consuming. If you're at the end of a shift, you've been working long hours in a distribution center, the last thing you want to do is have to now stand around for 10, 15, 20 minutes waiting for a physical search. So I think it adds that sort of, that issue around, how much do you inconvenience people in terms of making them go through this sort of search process. So, really interesting use case.
And another interesting use case which was covered is around the video events with LPR function. What was that about?
Yeah, so I mean, they have a whole, they'd really thought about how they wanted to integrate their video system within the buildings, and so they had video on track systems, so they could actually move the cameras around to monitor incidents that were going on. And again, they thought through, that's again another big investment in that respect. It's not cheap technology, but they knew that they had to have that sort of capacity when you're dealing with that type of building, which are big buildings, lots of space. But if you want to have full coverage, then you need to invest in that sort of system if you're going to get the true value out of what video can provide, in that sort of DC environment.
Great. So if you want to know more, please just have a link below and request the recording if you're a retailer. And we are also preparing ourselves for the next working group session, which will be about creating the business case. When is it going to be, and what is it going to be about in detail?
Yeah, sure. So it's on the 16th of June, and it's going to be a really interesting session, because I think one of the great challenges around video technologies is how do you build a business case? We know it's been used for many years now around certainly dealing with security and safety issues. But what we're now seeing through these webinars we've been running for the last year, and through the ECR report, is that video can deliver so much more. And so I think what we're going to try and show here is how do you begin to build that business case to say, look, invest in this technology, because not only will it deliver around those traditional areas of safety and security, but it can do other things as well in terms of trying to enable organizations to, make money, to build their profit margins, and also at the same time reduce less, which is where it's been used the most. So I think it's going to be, a great session in terms of just thinking through how you build that case to say, look, it's well worth investing in this system, because here are some of the sorts of benefits that we think you can achieve financially.
Yeah, and this is very interesting for me, because since the time of the analog CCTV, the video was only an expense. So it is, yes, it had a function of deterrence, but how do you measure it? But right now, we also see how can you save money, or how can you make money from the system, and understanding the customer behavior, measuring the queues, people counting, combining it with the access control, actually counting this deterrence function when you integrate with POS system. That becomes really something which you can put the clear return on investment parameter. And this is where we can stop chasing for the cheapest technology on the market, but rather think about something centralized, something which is a platform for integrating more and more functionalities, analytics, sensors. So it kind of goes to this true value of IoT, which have been on the market for 10 years, but it didn't really make any specific sense when we talk about like retail environment, for example. But now it does become that way. So very excited about it, looking forward. And thank you very much for being with me. And we will meet up with you a week before that, and we will tell everyone a little bit what to expect.
Great. Okay, you take care.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.